Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the TSLA Chronicles. It's your boy Willie Greenwood, and in today's video, I want to discuss my predictions for Tesla in 2022. Now, I know I'm a few days late. Everybody's already put theirs out, but better late than never, I say, right? So in this, I want to kind of discuss some of the catalysts of the stock that are going to lead to major gains. I also want to discuss, some of the things that are going to lead to tremendous company growth, which also obviously is going to lead to an increase in the stock price. And I think we're just going to start to see an overall evolution of Tesla this year. I think it's a huge year. There's so much to be excited for. I'm here for it the whole time. I hope you guys are too. If you are, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be posting more content, and I want you guys to be informed whenever it drops, so be sure to hit that notification bell as well. With that, let's go ahead and get into it. So my first prediction is that Tesla's going to reach full-scale production of their 4680 battery cells. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into the batteries, but back in September of 2020, Elon had released, or I should say unveiled, these 4680 cells at Battery Day, and just, kind of went over all the benefits of them. They're more efficient. They are going to be, more cost efficient to make, more power efficient. They'll be able to streamline in terms of putting them into the car. It'll be a part of a structural battery, which will make the car more rigid. So many benefits. Go ahead and check that video out if you guys are interested. I highly suggest you do. You can learn so much about the company, but the point of this is that I think the 4680 cells are finally going to get to the point where they're reaching full-scale production. That means that they're being implemented in all of the Model Ys in Berlin and in Austin. They already have a pilot line for these cells in Fremont, so now it's just simply a matter of taking that and expanding that at a full-fledged factory and creating them at scale, right? Creating them in mass. This is an absolute game changer, because what it does is it now allows Tesla to say, all right, we produce the cars using a gigacast machine, right? A die-cast machine. There's this, they call it a gigapress, and all it does is takes raw material, takes the metal, compresses it, and creates a casting of a vehicle, right? There's no, bolts, and there's no welding, none of that. It's just out comes a car frame, right? So then you use that, and then you just drop all these little battery cells. It's like a honeycomb format at the bottom, and they just drop the cells in there, push it along, put the seats in, and that's it. Seats are sitting directly on top of the battery cells, and that's it. So the point of what I'm saying is this is going to make building of the vehicles even more streamlined, even more efficient, right? It's going to be less cost. It's going to drive the cost of the vehicles down even further, which is going to lead to even higher margins, right? And margins on a vehicle, if it costs you this much and you sell it for this much, what's left is your margin, right? So the gross margin on the vehicle are going to be crazy big. And in the auto industry, they're razor thin throughout the entire industry. Not so much with Tesla. Other EV companies are in the same predicament that legacy automakers are in terms of them having to figure out new processes and do all that. Tesla's already done all that. They've invested all the money into the research and development over the last 10 to 15 years of just constant innovation and constantly evolving and growing and making the product better, building the machine that builds the machine. I've talked about this before. Elon's talked about it. That's what gives Tesla their advantage. It's not necessarily the car. Anybody can make a car, right? That's not the thing. It's how do you build that car, and who builds that car most efficiently and the cheapest, and whoever does that wins the game, right? From a car perspective. The impact that the 4680 cells, like I said, it's going to drive the cost of the battery per vehicle down. Right now, the cost of battery per vehicle is about 20%. The total cost of the vehicle, 20% of that goes straight to the battery. Well, with this new 4680 cell, they're going to drive the cost of a battery down by about 56%. So now, theoretically, that cost of the battery to the total of the vehicle is only, about 10%. Right? Maybe even a little bit less. Again, that's going to increase the margin per vehicle, plus that shareholder value in the company leads to an increased stock price. So keep that in mind when we're thinking about 4680 cells and their implementation into the cars. So that's 4680. That's my prediction on 4680. My second prediction is that Tesla will hit an annualized run rate of greater than 2 million vehicles per year by the end of this year. This just means that if you take Tesla's production rate and extrapolate that out to 12 months, they'll be able to produce 2 million vehicles within that time. So it's not necessarily saying that they will produce 2 million vehicles this year. I do believe that they will be able to meet the run rate of 2 million vehicles by some point this year. So they've already achieved a 1.2 million global run rate at their existing factories, which is important because that means that they are able to hit 300,000 in a quarter. In order to reach that 2 million, they'd need to hit 500,000 in a quarter. So with the continued expansion of the Shanghai factory, with the continued optimization of the Fremont factory, with Austin and Berlin both coming online at some point this year. They were supposed to have come on last year. They're going to be coming on at some point this year, here early, hopefully in the first quarter. But with that, and with the easing of the battery supply constraint due to the production of the 4680, like I had mentioned before, I think we're going to start to see Tesla increase their production capacity. Again, this would have a major impact and increase their revenue and their reputation. It would also increase the stock price, obviously, and would allow for future expansion and continued dominance in the EV space, which they already possess, right? So I don't think we see any other companies catch up anytime soon, for one. But for two, because Tesla's continuously growing their lead, right? Every vehicle that they put out is fully electric. GM in the fourth quarter in the fourth quarter of 2021 put out 26 electric vehicles. They delivered 26. Now that's partly due to the GM's Chevy Bolt having problems and them having to shut down production of that, but it goes to saying this is not easy. To produce electric vehicles at scale is not easy. I think a lot of legacy automotive factories or manufacturers have decided that they can just simply stop producing internal combustion engines today and start producing EVs tomorrow and instantly pick up and make more money, and they see the margins on the vehicles that Tesla's hitting, and they assume that they're going to be able to take some of that, or at least that's what the media would have you believe in, but it's not true, right? And I think this also leads into another prediction of mine, and maybe not for 2022, but in the next few years, is we will inevitably see an automotive industry collapse here in the U.S. There will not be enough vehicles produced to meet demand, at least not EVs produced, right? And people aren't looking to buy gas vehicles brand new anymore, right? They're becoming obsolete extremely quickly. They're becoming, even more expensive to purchase, and they're not getting any cheaper to make for auto manufacturers. So when they're not getting cheaper to make, they have to pass that on to somebody. They have to pass those costs on to somebody, and they're not going to pass it on to their shareholders. They're going to pass it on to the consumer. So now you just have to buy a more expensive gas car. The cost of gas is going up. You got government agencies around the world that are going to be requiring countries to ban the sale of new gas vehicles at a certain point in time. I think it's either 2025 or 2035, but nevertheless, at some point soon, we're going to stop seeing at a point, companies are going to have to stop trying to innovate on gas, right? You're going to have to stop trying to create a new gas vehicle, and you're going to have to just say, you know what? We're not producing any more of them. We're going bankrupt, right? So then they go bankrupt, and then what happens? People aren't able to purchase vehicles anymore, or the used market becomes crazy expensive. We've already seen it. It costs more to buy a used vehicle than it does to purchase a new one. At least in Tesla's case, used Model 3s are going for more than the new ones are. You just have to wait for the new one to come. So I think we're seeing it already start to play itself out. That's coming at some point. But back to my main prediction for 2022, don't mean to get all doom and gloom on you guys, but the global annualized run rate will exceed 2 million, will have major implications for the stock price. Will have, I think we're going to start to see a lot of people start to flood to Tesla over the coming months. I think 2022, like I said, is the big year for the stock. So we'll see. My next prediction is that Tesla will unveil their $25,000 car this year. There's been a lot of talk from financial analysts saying that, Tesla doesn't have any new products coming this year. The Cybertruck keeps being delayed, yada, yada, yada. There's a lot of nonsense going on, but end of the day, I think this is the year we see the $25,000 vehicle come out. All signs are pointing to it. Giga Shanghai is operating, well past expectations. They're just absolutely crushing it. That's where, they opened a design center that is designing the $25,000 vehicle that's going to, also be produced out there for that specific market first. So there's competition out there in terms of having cheap EVs. I believe it's BYD has a pretty cheap EV that's out there, but there's a lot of competition in China that's not out here in America. In terms of the EV space. And so I think Tesla wants to get in on that. And if they can get in on that, again, that just increases their lead in the space, particularly here in America. But around the world, we'll start to see them produce more and more vehicles, have more and more sales, which is going to obviously increase the price. But back to the $25,000 vehicle, why do I have this prediction? Well, I think we'll see, the introduction again of the cheaper batteries, the 4680 cells, plus the increased manufacturing capacity at the Giga Shanghai factory. Again, they've been killing it there. The $25,000 car is the ultimate target market for the company, right? Elon has gone on record of saying like that ultimately is what he wants to produce is, a mass market vehicle that people can afford. And, obviously with it being a $25,000 electric vehicle, the cost of ownership is significantly less than that of any other comparable ICE vehicle, right? So you don't have to pay for fuel. So if you don't have to pay for fuel and your electricity cost increase per month is minimal, right? Your electric bill increase is minimal. Then you say, okay, cool. We got a $25,000 vehicle. I'm only paying pretty much what I pay for my monthly payment. That's it. Whereas if you go and you buy a gas vehicle and you buy that gas vehicle for $25,000, well, you have to also add in however many thousands of dollars you're going to be spending on gas for the life of the vehicle. That's something misleading about ICE vehicles that they don't just flat out tell you. Obviously, it's impossible to tell you how much you're going to spend in gas, but it's a completely, it's completely left out of the equation when most people go to purchase a new car. I know a lot of people may get into a hybrid and they might say, oh, well, I'm paying less, but you're still paying some. And if the cost of gas continues to rise, right, you're going to also have to continue paying that rise in gas. So I think, the $25,000 car is going to completely shatter the game. Nobody's going to want to purchase, at least in the market that it's first offered in. No one is going to buy a gas vehicle. There would be absolutely no reason to. The charging infrastructure of Tesla is superior, second to none. So I don't think that there's any competition there now or in the foreseeable future, which bodes well for the company as well. But yeah, I think 2022 is going to be a tremendous year for the company. And if they can, accomplish the $25,000 car, first, if they can accomplish the 4680 cells, which will enable the $25,000 car, they can increase that, that unlocks their delivery numbers to, shoot through the roof, not only this year, but over the next, 10 years or whatever. everything is starting to add up all at once. It's almost like a convergence, and we're starting to see Tesla's whole scheme start to come together. And I've been following it for so long. I wish I could have started talking about it sooner. Didn't have the ambition to do it, but now that I do, I'm hoping that I'm reaching people that are curious about the company, or even just want to see a change in what they currently have in terms of like from the vehicle standpoint. Like, I love the car, and every time somebody gets into my car and I give them a ride, they're like, "Oh my God, this is the future. Oh my God, this is so crazy. Like, I want one so bad. It's too expensive." Well, what do? You gotta, Tesla has to, they figure something out. Let's drive down the cost of the batteries. Which will then drive down the cost of the car. Let's introduce a new car. Let's do all this, that, and the third. It all comes to fruition at some point, and now is that point. I think over these next 12 months, it's very exciting to be an investor in the company. I'm flooding all dollars that I have, all pennies, into the stock price, or into the company, I should say, because I am such a strong believer in it. Again, I always say this is not financial advice. Please do with your investments as you will, based on your own research, your own understandings of things. Don't take it from some guy on YouTube or whatever that you met. Don't take it from me. Take it for your own. Do your own stuff, and you'll see what I'm trying to say. It's a beautiful thing. It's a great company, and I'm always so geeked to talk about it. But so the overall impact of these predictions is we will continue to see increasing expansion of manufacturing output and production capacity. I think we're going to start to see, another prediction that I didn't even write down, but just came to mind, is that I do foresee Tesla solving level 4 autonomy at some point this year as well. Elon went on record earlier, about a week ago. He was on the Lex Friedman podcast. Be sure to check that out. Great conversation between the two of them. But in that, he had mentioned that he believes Tesla will solve level 4 autonomy at some point this year. Now, this is, a change of pace from some things that he's said in the past, where, he's made mention that Tesla will solve level 5 full self-driving, in 2020 and 2019, whenever he was saying it, he was always mentioning level 5. Now he's kind of changed his tune and said, now he's saying level 4. I think that this is going to be a better approach from Elon than to say, go all out and say level 5, because I don't think that level 5 I think there should be steps to it. I don't think you can just go from nothing to 100. I think you have to iterate along the way, and Tesla has been doing that. But now I think we're starting to see Elon take more of a conservative approach because the problem is so hard. And the more of it that they start to figure out, the more they start to realize, oh shit, we're just getting started. This is not, Peter Rawlinson. I made a video, if you checked it out, I made a video a while back, and Peter Rawlinson, who's the CEO of Lucid, and he was a former, Tesla engineer, employee, or whatever, had said that self-driving is still 10 years away. I highly disagree. I don't think that it's 10 years away. I think it's here today. I think the level at which it's at is not level 5 today, or perhaps it's level 5 this is level 5 before it's achieved the confidence of the user, right? Like, so the way I'm looking at it is like, if I'm a driver, as a human being, I'm a driver, right? My skill level in driving is what it is today. But 15 years ago when I first started driving, this was not my skill level, but this is the skill level that I had the capability of achieving, right? If I just continued working at it, continued iterating along the years, continued getting better, this is the level that I always had this in my capabilities, but I just wasn't at that level at that point in time. I needed experience. I needed to get, my bearings about myself, right? So I think that's kind of the same thing that we're starting to see. And now there may be somebody watching this that's like, yo, you're an idiot. That's not how it works. Yada, yada. Sure enough. But for the sake of the point I'm trying to make here is I think we're gonna start to see this thing just, rapidly improve, right? I recently got the FSD beta, and the shit is game changing. Absolutely game changing. Like I can put in the address, leave from my driveway, it'll take me there, bring me back home, like no input. But it's here. So if we just continue to iterate on it, then before we know it, we're there's no interventions. Before you know it, you're so relaxed with it, you're just sitting back. It's not going to come a day where one day the judge comes out and, hits the gavel and says, hey, my ruling is that cars can drive themselves. That's not how it's going to happen. It's going to happen by just one day you realizing, oh shit, I don't even drive anymore. Like the last time that I actually got in my car to like drive was, I don't know how long ago, right? It's going to just creep in. Smartphones didn't just, one day Steve Jobs introduced the iPhone. He got on stage and introduced it, but what happened? Nobody said, hey, everybody here is gonna start using the internet, and this is like the day that we're gonna all start using the internet and all start using iPhones. No, it just gradually happened. Over time, people began adopting it. Word of mouth. Hey, look at my phone. Look at this thing it can do better than your phone. Oh shit, I want one of those. And then there's that FOMO, and so it's just it's a cascading effect, or it's an avalanche effect. And I think we're at the top. We're at the top of the mountain right now, and it's the small little snowballs are starting to form and really gain some traction and momentum. And I think, that's how the whole full self-driving thing is going to happen. It's just going to, one day everybody's just in their cars, kind of just on their phones, not paying attention to the road. And then they're going to look up and say, I haven't driven in a while. That's kind of interesting, and go back to what they were doing. So I don't know. But yeah, so those are my predictions for 2022, the $25,000 car, the batteries, the increase in the production run rate, as well as full self-driving reaching level 4 autonomy. Those are my predictions for this year. I'm stick to those. If I come up on it with anything else, I will be sure to revisit this. But for now, that's all that I have. So with that, I want to end with a couple of questions for you guys. First, what should they do with those battery cost savings? Should they use the money to invest in production of the $25,000 model and create an entirely new target market? Or should they reduce the cost of each vehicle and pass the savings on to the individual consumer? So leave your answers down in the comments section below. So with that, I thank you all for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Also, be sure to tap the notification bell. That way you're able to be informed whenever I drop new content, because who doesn't want new content, right? So that's it for today, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm Willie Greenwood. This is the TSLAQ Chronicles. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.